Welcome back to Speak Up Queen, the podcast where we empower, uplift, and celebrate women who have reclaimed their voices to inspire others. Today, we are thrilled to introduce the inspiring Arlene, a beacon of resilience, strength, and empowerment. Arlene has dedicated her life to helping others navigate life challenges, reclaim their voices, and step boldly into their purpose. Her story is one of perseverance and transformation, and through her journey, Arlene has become a passionate advocate for personal growth and self discovery. She believes in the power of women to rise above adversity and create lives filled with meaning, joy, and impact. Join us as we dive into Arlene's incredible story, uncover her unique insights, and celebrate the powerful message she brings to Speak Up Queen. Get ready to feel inspired and uplifted as we welcome Arlene to the show.
Hi.
Arlene, can you start by telling us what does healing mean to you and how has your journey toward it shaped the woman you are today?
Hmm. Okay, great question. Well, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I love that it's called Speak Up Queen. It's just, yeah, it totally echoes the importance of being able to use your voice. And yeah, I can't wait to explore more with the rest of you and all the other queens that have popped on your show. I think to touch on healing, it is such a huge topic in such an area, right? But, I really believe that healing has been a cornerstone, a really powerful, powerful pillar in my journey in life and my journey in love and my journey, of course, in transformation. And also why I'm here today, quite literally, why I'm here today physically, but also within the work that I do and within how I would like to live my life moving forward. Um, I think the importance of healing is something that I really wish was taught everywhere. And, I truly believe that, especially women, I think we live a lifelong journey of inner battles and, a very internal, a rich journey internally of um, building a really special kind of resilience against the world that others don't, they don't, as, mothers, as sisters, as teachers, as spouses, as girlfriends, as best friends and family members, right? And I think that healing is something that is, when you lean into it and when you acknowledge how powerful it can be to truly transform you and almost be a guiding compass for anybody who's listening to your life and what you would like to shape as your future. It really does change everything when it comes to how you think about all of the things in your life, how you feel within your body, within your mind, within your entire being. And I think finally, what you choose for yourself, what you create for yourself moving forward. And I also believe that, healing is a word that a lot of the times is associated with survival stories, right? Or a survival lifestyle or like a survival instinct and way to live. And I also would love everybody to know that it's just so much more than that. So, yeah.
Love it. Can you share a moment when you chose self discovery over self doubt and what have you learned about yourself?
Of course. I think one thing that I really learned about myself by choosing self discovery is that everybody has more power and more control than they actually think they do when it comes to consciously creating the life that they want to live, the people that they want to surround themselves with, the partner that they choose, which I believe is the most important decision anyone will ever make in their lives, and also who they want to be, right? Or who they want to become. If you believe that there's still some transformation that needs to happen for you in order to become that person. And I think an example I could really give here is probably when I left the corporate world, really, and chose to come into a world of entrepreneurship. I can give so many examples, but this one has really shaped a lot more of who I have learned to become and a world that I left behind that was really important to me and that also I felt very, secure in. And then I had to redefine my definition of security. I had to redefine style choices. I had to redefine my relationship with unpredictability and the unknown, tapping into the world of entrepreneurship and creating almost a brand new life. um, so that's definitely a really profound example, and it's been full of challenges and full of really beautiful wins, and continues to be that way. But it's really shaped character in a completely different light, and something I can really say that I'm like proud to actually share. Um, in hindsight anyway, when you're in it, sometimes it feels as though you're not really 100% sure of everything, that certainty piece is removed. um so I think just going on that journey is definitely a great example.
What's one life challenge that made you stronger and how did it lead to personal growth?
I think one life challenge that definitely made me stronger and led me to personal growth is probably having a near death experience. So for me, when the pandemic hit, I also survived a brain injury, and I, throughout a 9 month period, was going through treatments and recovery and rehab and still managed to hold on to my job. I was working in HR at the time, had a really successful career in HR, and actually still was so diligent in what I was doing that our company was one of the few that not a single person lost their jobs in, because we had such a great team and because I was so committed to the work that I was doing. And because of that experience, it does slow your life down and it changes a lot in your life, because for me, that was the first time I was met with a really, really severe health challenge. And so there's some identity loss in that, there's some security loss in that, confidence, all those things are hit, and your mindset is really challenged. But also, ironically, that was the year that actually I decided to get my coaching certifications and study to become a coach. And so it opened a new door at the same time. And so, unknowing to me at the time, it was really actually the door that opened my journey to entrepreneurship and healing on a really, really deep level. And of course, like the work I now do to support other people on their journey as well.
Wow. Women are often seen as nurturers. How do you balance nurturing others while ensuring your growth and well-being?
I love that word, especially because I've really been working on um, my relationship with that word as well. And yes, absolutely, women are seen as nurturers. I think it's really important when you're considering balancing out anything in life, but especially being a female, with all these unspoken expectations sometimes that lie underneath the layers of the spoken expectations that the world has of us and the other people have of us, to really build a solid home base. And what I mean by that is like a solid home base within yourself, and really learn how to have a really good relationship with setting boundaries and with yourself. I think that's where it starts. So there's a self-love component there. And when you're blending in how it feels to be nurturing, or what does it actually mean to be nurturing, I think honestly, really building a conscious um, experience with your femininity is very, very important. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to wear florals and that your style has to reflect that, but it's more just what you are feeling within yourself when it comes to channeling your feminine energy. And the reason that I share this is because I actually think that learning how to do that in a way that releases control, where you practice surrendering and come into the practice of learning how to feel safer in your body, safer to receive, safer to relinquish control, safer to just be, And just being is just this beautiful experience in itself that, women in the modern world, like somehow we've just been accustomed to doing a lot of things and bearing a lot of responsibility. So it's not always conscious to us. And when you start doing that, what it actually does is it actually opens a new gateway to learning how to cultivate resilience in your body in a way that actually feels safe, as opposed to feeling like there's this constant push to do more. So it's like this experience actually comes with less anxiety. So your body learns how to be less anxious and more in the space of trust. So to wrap up my response there, I would say that I think I have really been tested in this area as someone who's always been very, go, 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 career woman, etc. Until, of course, I was met with health challenges. And then it was only really the last 2 years that I've really learned what safety and security means to me outside of the things that we rely on as crutches to provide that for ourselves. And then that journey to really nurturing my feminine energy and creating that balance on being productive and also being a female and also um, not necessarily losing the nurturing traits or like pushing them down, but building better boundaries around, okay, when is it actually the best time and space for me to be a giver, and when is it a good time and space for me to be a nurturer, and when do I need to actually step back and honor myself and nurture myself and then give back to myself. And I think it's a combination of all those things. So as long as you learn how to do that and apply it to living a lifestyle where you practice surrendering more than you practice controlling, I genuinely think that it opens up a whole new relationship with not only yourself, but how to actually live a life that is more balanced and harmonious within being a female and honoring aspects of nurturing and also just being.
Oh, I love it. What inspired you to reclaim your voice, and how has that choice impacted your life?
Um, hmm. I think there's so many things that inspire me to reclaim my voice, but I almost wonder if what feels most natural to share, at least tonight, is I think realizing that I was a product in a system of society, just like all of us, right? But for me, it was more just realizing how much unhelpful conditioning that I had learned throughout my life that was making me think that I should live a certain way, should be a certain way. It really was with like all the shoulds. So, all the structure that I had around my life outside of being organized was actually preventing me from being a liberated human. I love that water bottle. Just distracting me. Um, we can talk about that water bottle after. So, yeah, so it's actually like preventing me and blocking me from really being in my essence, like truly being in my empowered state. So I would say that feels more right to share. And that honestly comes in every aspect of my life. So my finances, choices I was making about, my health and wellness. I've had a whole journey with learning how to actually be well and what wellness actually is. And I'm not talking about lifting at the gym and eating broccoli. Like, there's so much more outside of that, like, feminine health and like what's really healthy in that respect, relationships, career. Like, if you apply what I just said to every area of my life, that truly was one way that I was almost like a catalyst to reclaim my voice. And which is why I can now actually speak to you about it and answer these questions, because if you had met me like 5 years ago, I really would have been really stuck and I wouldn't have been more comfortable speaking to any of this. I would have just assumed that it didn't, what I had to say, it didn't really matter so much, right? So, yeah.
Wow. What's one practice or mindset shifts that has helped you embrace your worth unapologetically?
Hmm. Oh, that's one mindset shift. I'm just thinking about when did I last feel like I was in my most liberated, empowered, embraced state? It was when I was over in the States a few months ago, for work in some events. And I would actually say the biggest mindset shift right before 2024 ended came from just having a moment where I was spending time with my mentors, who were some of the most just successful people that my industry has ever seen, that I never thought I would be in the same room as. And then all these wonderful people that I was attracting in everywhere I went, and just having a moment and realizing that we always get to create our reality and we're always in total control of that, and how easy it is for us to talk ourselves out of creating opportunities for ourselves. And I would have never felt as liberated, empowered if the opportunities that I didn't, if the opportunities that I thought I was deserving of and that I thought I really wanted in my life, if I just sat there and had the mindset of, this is never going to happen to me, I'm never going to achieve this, I'm never going to spend this much money, I'm never going to invest into my business, I'm never going to, meet my idols, whoever it is, like, oh, that's only going to happen in my dreams. There's a really powerful word that I used when I actually met one of my coaches in person. And I said, I'm having a major pinch me moment, but not a fangirl moment, because I never realized how much you and I had in common, because I've always looked at you through a screen. And the full human in front of me right now, I am just so in awe of. And I feel so more connected to you than I've ever felt. And that would have never happened if I didn't buy the plane ticket, go on the plane, go through a bit of discomfort and physical discomfort, maybe, and stress and sleepless nights, maybe, to get here, so that I could reap the benefits of not only this moment, but this entire experience. I was at a retreat for one of the weeks I was there. And that's really powerful. Learning that is just so powerful, because the excuses and the stories that we tell ourselves about why we can't do something, why we shouldn't make a decision, why we shouldn't spend that money, why we shouldn't date that person, like, it is all holding us back, and it all comes from fear and ego at the end of the day. That's where it's coming from. It's a very clever way to protect ourselves, but we also rob ourselves from the experience of truly being a creator of our life, and not just in, you know, the passenger seat of our life, like taking the driver's seat and really taking control over the fact that we very much can create a lot of the realities that we think are delusions. So that's the key word I used was, oh, my delusions are coming true. So, if you're listening to this, then I'd really want you to know that I am absolutely a poster example of somebody who makes their delusions a reality, sometimes accidentally. So yeah, so that was a huge mindset shift for me. And the lesson that I took away from that was to stay in my delusions. And I literally wrote it down in my journal, and I said, this is what you're committing to in 2025. You're going to stay in your delusions and make decisions from that place. So yeah, it's a total mindset shift from gray area thinking and, trying to be safe, trying to keep myself safe and sensible, to really projecting outwards and then quantum leaping and really thriving in situations, experiences, and relationships that I never thought I would encounter. So, yeah.
Oh, it's just amazing. I love it. I love it. I love it. On the plane, when you were speaking, I was like, oh my word. I know exactly where I would go, like, straight away. But it's just doing the things that we love, and just because the universe is going to be test you. Let me tell you, this week I decided to to start being a business partner with one of my friends, and it was such, the universe was really testing me this week, and 5 years ago, if this would have ever happened, I would just go to bed, put my blankets over my head and said, oh, I can't do this. No, maybe it's not meant for me. And this week I was like, universe, just bring it on. Bring it on. I know you're testing me and asking me how bad do I want this? Bring it on. And yes, today it all finally came through. And I'm like, oh, I was so resilient this week that I'm so bloody proud of myself. But it doesn't happen overnight for becoming this resilient person. We need to invest in ourselves. We need to invest in the things that really matter to us, because at the end of the day, we only live now. That's it. We just have now. Nothing else.
Yep.
Just now.
Yep, I can really like resonate with what you're saying, because there's a couple of things I want to say to that. One is that, and I say this to all my friends because they are just in awe. They're like, how do you manifest the way that you do? And I tell them, I'm like, it's gotten to a point now where sometimes it's not even intentional. Like, I've been accidentally manifesting for so long that it's probably very annoying for people. But I did say to them, one thing though that I really check myself on is, if it were more intentional, what would happen? If it's accidental, and it's great things, what would happen if it was intentional, and that you spoke to the universe and you trusted the universe and you asked for what it was that you wanted? But also, you have to be in a state of being okay with receiving and surrendering, right? Going back to what I said about practicing feminine energy practices, like a whole new world opens up for you when you, because what you're doing is you're changing the frequency that you have when it comes to trust within yourself, and you are trusting that things are going to land, not out of like, blind faith, but just the faith in knowing that you've put your intentions out, that you're actively working towards something, and that things will come to fruition, and they will. And so, yeah, resilience is not obviously built overnight. It is like a muscle. You've got to really take yourself through experiences, right? And they can be anything. But it is, the more you face, I think, challenges, adversity, and the more you overcome certain things and really go through them and learn the lessons, like that's how we build stronger resilience, is exactly by doing that. So, yeah, I love that you shared that. This was like such a big breakthrough week for you. I love hearing that.
Yeah, it is just the law of attraction. It is
Mm-hmm.
a real thing. It's really a real thing. 5 years ago, I would say you're crazy. You are believing in woo-woo stuff. I don't believe in it. Keep away. And then, but I realized it was just my ego. It was the way we were taught as children. Stop dreaming. Start living in a box. Start trying to fit in. Live in this. You need to be a certain age to, if you need to be married by a certain age, you need to have a child by a certain age. It was all these boxes that society let us believe that it was the way of going, until I said, when we moved to Australia, I was like, I am going to find out, who am I without of these limiting beliefs? And oh my word, it was like a new world open up for me. I am privileged to be in rooms with amazing, powerful, badass queens. I am attracting these amazing queens like yourself. And it is just like, bring it on, bring them on. I'm like just getting it all in, because yeah, and yeah, it is just amazing. I can talk for hours about this.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It really is. Like, and how much space, have you created just by just by being like, yes, bring it on. It's just we're creating space by doing that. Like, so much energetic space is created when you do that. It's ridiculous. I don't think, like, honestly, I look back, oh my gosh, I look back even 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. I was at the peak of my career and I had nothing to complain about, like nothing. I didn't have any financial problems, like I didn't have any health problems. I didn't have any major relationship problems. Like I had very little to complain about. And I could have been very comfortable and happy and content. And of course I would have been. But I think the lesson I think there also is that I honestly, for a long time, felt like life was being very unfair because it just kept throwing curveballs at me. And I was like, okay, is this for a lesson? Am I cursed? Like, we start thinking these things because, sometimes you just can't make sense of all the horrible things that happen when they happen in sequence because you look around you and everybody seems like they're fine. But actually, what I look back on and I realize now, and one of my friends who actually is a faith um, is somebody who goes to church and is a faith, recently shared something so beautiful with me, and I will take that away forever. She actually share the concept of being chosen and being a chosen one. So, this is more kind of going more towards a belief system that might be rooted in religion, but you can actually take the same concept and apply it here. When I talk about like the power of choice and then the power of creating and being in the driver's seat, if you apply that principle of being like a chosen one or somebody that has a unique path, just like everybody else, to go through in life, when you open yourself up to your relationship with the universe and your relationship to putting your faith and your belief into things working out for you, even if they're not perfect and even if they might be very challenging at times, that's also a way to build the resilience muscle and also build a stronger relationship with yourself and create space. And so when you create and open that energetic space up, that is when the universe goes, oh, I see that she's got some space there now. Let me start putting and dropping things in, like little Easter eggs. And then it's up to you whether or not that's something that you notice. Is that something you're aware of? Are you ready to receive? Because one of my sayings that I teach all my clients is that the universe doesn't wait for you to be ready for anything. It doesn't wait for you to be ready for the big cash injection. It doesn't wait for you to be ready for the redundancy. It doesn't wait for you to be ready for the new partner that you randomly met when you weren't looking for anybody. The universe doesn't wait. And so putting your faith in like divine timing can actually seem like a very woo-woo thing because the brain we love going through what is logical, what is tangible, like what can I predict, what can I hold on to provide me with some security and stability in knowing that there's a foolproof way to live my life, right? But the reality is that so much of how you are meant to grow as a person and what is out there for you not only lies outside of your comfort zone, it lies outside of your entire belief system and everything you thought that you knew and had under control and should do, right? It completely exists all outside of that. And yeah, and I really hope that I come across more people in my life who are open to those experiences because it's only made my life better, not worse. So, yeah.
The last question. What inspired you to say yes to being featured on Speak Up Queen? And what does this opportunity mean to you as a platform to share your story?
Yeah. Oh, I think what inspired me to come on first and foremost is that I really loved the platform and I really loved what you're doing here and that you're not only allowing people to have a voice and share their stories, but that every story has an impact, every story has a purpose, every story has a place to land and is designed to not only inspire people, but to also really provide other queens and other women, especially listening to this, with the invisible permission slip that we absolutely do not need to actually stretch our imagination and stretch our horizons through listening. I'm a podcast host myself. One of the biggest reasons why I chose to continue my podcast more professionally outside of a hobby was because I had people telling me that tuning in to an episode has completely changed the way that I think about something. Like tuning into an episode has completely changed the way that I think that I want relationships. Like you never know what doors are going to open for you just by being in a state of receivership, right? I said this like a couple of times already. This is another great example. So I loved the mission behind it and the purpose and what you were doing here. And I also I think I'll conclude by saying that the last half of your question, I really truly believe in the power of community and like this collective community that we can build online and still have access to education and to resources and to thought leadership that we wouldn't otherwise get if we were always, looking over our shoulder and trying to find the answers in our backyard, for example. And so the fact that this is so intentional and designed to not only have people come and speak about their journeys and their realities, but also, to have that community aspect of it as well is not only so wonderful, but I really think that it, again, just provides that big, fat, invisible permission slip that we absolutely don't need, that we absolutely don't need to really check in with ourselves and come back to what resonates with us when we're listening back to these conversations. And of course, what we want to do about that moving forward. So, yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much, Arlene, for sharing your powerful and inspiring story with us today. Your journey reminds us of the strength and courage it takes to heal, grow, and thrive. To everyone tuning in, remember your voice and your story have the power to inspire and create change. If today's episode resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe, comment, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Until next time, Queens, keep speaking up and embracing your power.